finally drove away. I wonder where it's gone to now, what it has to say. A funky rhythm asked me to dance, but I let her pass me by. She rippled her way through the crowd, I remember her till I die. Sing out loud, it's probably not forbidden. We are blessed by all we give and all that we are given. Sing out loud, it's probably not forbidden. We are blessed by all we give and all that we are given. A melody drifted on the breeze. I picked up the quiet song till I thought I got a funny look and the melody was gone. We sang a song when we were 3, like any child might. A tune about a little star twinkling in the night. Sing out loud, it's probably not forbidden. We are blessed by all we give and all that we are given. Sing out loud, it's probably not forbidden. We are blessed by all we give and all that we are given. Sing out loud, it's probably not forbidden. We are blessed by all we give and all that we are given. Sing out loud, it's probably not forbidden. We are blessed by all we give and all that we are given.
Welcome everyone to our fellowship for today's Sunday service. And we first of all want to thank Matt and Nate Blyton so much for that wonderful uplifting song to start us out. We love to have them share their music with us. So as I said, welcome to everyone, and I hope everyone is remembering Father's Day, having a good Father's Day today. And we're going to start by sharing together in an opening meditation. So I want to invite everyone to just let the day just drain away all the things that we've been thinking and doing and planning and getting ready for. I invite you to close your eyes. And let's take a couple deep breaths together. Let's breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and out. And as we continue to follow our breath, just let those out breaths be the release of any tension that you might be holding in your body. Just with each breath, more relaxed and more relaxed. In this moment right now, we surrender this human body and this ego mind as we ground ourselves in our true nature, one with loving spirit, undefinable, unbounded, unlimited creative potential. And we see and feel our divine light growing within, comfort and warmth. And we hear the sweet, sweet, gentle song of divine love in our hearts. As we breathe in and breathe out and center our attention in our heart space, we are realigned and revived and refreshed. Free to be all that we are. And free to share all that we are. True, pure love. And as we take this moment to rest in the blessings and grace of the Divine One, together we say, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have a reading for you today that is around Father's Day. The idea of fatherhood is both personal and universal. We all have ideal concepts surrounding fatherhood, and we also have our real fathers. Fathers who were there or not for us. Fathers who provided financial support for our families, or fathers who failed to do so. Fathers who loved or neglected us. Fathers who were our role models or gave us someone to rebel against. Our Father may have been there for us sometimes and not there for us at other times. The process of reconciling the ideal father that resides in our minds with the Father that we actually have can teach us a great deal about ourselves. Father energy and mother energy are the two complementary energies necessary to bring a healthy human being to fruition in the world. Many of the ideas surrounding fathers are changing in the wake of more modern parenting styles and the more egalitarian roles that are evolving between the sexes. More men are embodying mother energy, and women provide father energy for their children. Either way, we can all benefit from remembering our fathers and how they influenced who we've become and the ways that we walk through this world. Today, let us remember and honor our fathers.
Well, I came upon a child of God. He was walking along the road, and I asked him, "Where are you going?" This he told me. Said, "I'm going down to Yazga's farm, gonna join in a rock and roll band. I gotta get back to the land and set my soul free. We are stardust, we are golden, and we got to get ourselves back to the garden. Well, then can I walk beside you? I have come to lose a small, and I feel myself a cog, it's something turning. Yeah, maybe it is the time of year, or maybe it's the time of man. I don't know who I am, but life is for learning. We are stardust, feeling hero carbon, and we got to get ourselves back to the garden. By the time we got to Woodstock, we were 500,000 strong, and everywhere was a song and a celebration. And I dreamed I saw the bomber jet planes riding shotgun in the sky and turning into butterflies above our nation. We are stardust, we are golden, and we got to get ourselves back to the garden. We are stardust, feeling hero carbon, and we got to get ourselves back to the garden. We are stardust, we are golden, and we got to get ourselves back to the garden.
And now is the time in our service when we give thanks and gratitude for the tithes and offerings that all of you so generously donate to the fellowship. And it's also a wonderful time to pause and really remember all of the abundance in our lives. The abundance of relationship today on Father's Day, and all of the teachings and lessons and experiences that that brings with it. But especially let us all know together as a fellowship community how much we appreciate the donations that everyone provides to our fellowship community. So let's say together the blessing of our tithes and offerings, and you'll see that on the screen right here next to me. The light of divine love shines eternally, blessing and multiplying our tithes and offerings. I joyously give, knowing I always have enough to share and to share. Thank you all so much. And now I'm going to be introducing our speaker for this afternoon, Fellowship School of Ministry student Karen Conklin. And I just want to preface all of this with remembering myself being in the School of Ministry and speaking on both Father's Day and Mother's Day. It's been a tradition in the fellowship for many years now to allow our School of Ministry students this opportunity not only to speak, often for the very first times in their lives, but also to really dive into this relationship of mother and father. As the reading mentioned, our experiences in these relationships are often not always one thing or another. They can be beautiful, beautiful memories of kindness and fun and happiness. And they can also include memories that are challenging and difficult and hurtful. But this provides us and our students an opportunity to heal and really think through and heart through their memories and relationships with these very important people in our lives. So I want to introduce our speaker, Karen Conklin, and let us all listen from that place of love and acceptance and remembrance of our own experiences with Father. Karen Conklin.
Hi everyone, and happy Father's Day. I hope you all are having a really great one, and it's a celebratory day. I'm going to talk about my dad today. My dad's name was George Harold Conklin. He was born in 1930 and he died in 1989, and I'll get to that later. In his early years, Dad grew up and was born in Harrisville, and that is on Lake Huron, so it's a little north from here. He had a brother, Bill, and his mother, Jessie, and his dad, Harold, whom he was named by. And Dad's younger brother, Bill, went into the service before Dad did, and we're all wondering if Dad wasn't not like 16 or 17 when he went in. He went in for the cleanup after World War II. And so what they did with him is they shipped him off to Korea because there was conflict at the time. Not quite yet with the war, but the conflict. So so he did a couple of years there. He had a story for my mom, and we're not sure that it's true, but he said he might have killed somebody, and I don't think he did. I think he was just trying to yank my mom's chain a little bit. So he, in Rogers City, when he met my mom, this is where they started their family. And my family is all from Rogers City area, and that's on Lake Huron. That is northeast of here. Anyway, and Dad was the boatmaster, because there is a harbor there which holds a whole bunch of boats. It's beautiful. People come there to vacation. So he kept the boats nice and clean. And he also got to take a couple of boats out, and we were, as kids, were just elated. He, at the same time, started a business, and he built a building, and it was a sporting goods store. So that was really popular because there was water, and he was actually selling boats too. My mom gave birth to my sister there in Rogers City, and she went to school in Rogers City for a little bit. And then we all moved to Mason. I wasn't born yet, but it was my sister, my father, and my mom. And Dad started a little stint in college, but it wasn't his thing. He went to Central. And so after that, he thought he'd get a job as a deputy sheriff in Mason. So he was deputy sheriff, and Dad was an instigator. And so he pulled over this gang of brothers in this car full of brothers. and pulled him over and got out of his car, started walking up. All the brothers came out. And because they had it. They had had it with my dad being an instigator, so they came out and they were going to beat his butt. So he went back into his car and went back to the station. I thought that was a funny story. Yeah, Dad was a little, yeah, he used to get in some trouble. So we moved to Flint because it was booming. Life was good. Everybody was happy. Everybody had enough money. You didn't have to have an education to live very comfortably, and most Flint residents did. So Dad decided to take advantage of his entrepreneurship, and he built his own business. He built the building from the ground up, and he was a salesman, and that's what he knew best. Dad sold copy machines and supplies, and back when everything was huge, and the big, huge rolls of paper and beautiful copy machines. And his business was also beautiful. I don't know if any of you have watched Mad Men, but that was my dad's life. That was my dad's office. Everybody drank whiskey and everybody smoked, and it was just like that. So his business was going really, really well. So well that he had a fleet of cars. They were station wagons. I couldn't help that. Dad wasn't around a whole lot. With me growing up personally, my sister had a much different life than I did. He was gone a lot. He also remarried. When we got together, it was very fun. We all had fun. Like I said, Dad had all the toys. He had a Model T. We used to drive around the neighborhood and he'd honk the horn, "Auga," and kids would just be following us, and it was great. And of course, you know, you go out on the highway and it stalls and you have to get out and you have to crank it. So we all thought that was fun. He had to get rid of that because that was too expensive. I think Dad's problem was he was trying to live beyond his means, and that's why he had a whole bunch of toys that he eventually had to give back. Okay, so Dad had a really good, successful business for a very long time. However, things started to go downhill in Flint in the early 80s. The bottom fell out of GM. We were all dependent on this auto factory, and all these people, thousands of people lost their jobs, factories closed, and subsequent businesses went out of business, kind of like the pandemic did. People were leaving in droves. Luckily, my dad had purchased some property up in Mayo. That seems to be like the popular spot, Tawas, Mayo, Wasso. It's close enough to home, yet far enough to where you could call it up north. So he was looking for property with the second wife, and he found this cabin in Mayo on the river, on the El Saba River. And the cabin wasn't much. It looked like a little one-bedroom cabin, rustic cabin. So my dad, like I mentioned, my dad wasn't educated formally, but he was smart as a whip. He could do anything. He could make anything, do anything. He read books so he could make things. So So in Sears, he loved his craftsman tools, so he got one of everything, and he was very meticulous. I think anybody would have fallen in love with his garage. Everything was just where it was supposed to be. I didn't visit too often. Dad had done a lot of things before, and a lot of time had passed, but the cabin, he transformed that cabin into something so beautiful. He put an extra addition on it, the same size as the cabin was. He remodeled everything, the kitchen, everything in it. In the back room where we were as kids, it was so cold. No heat, no fireplace, no nothing. So we had to bundle up. But he had a snowmobile. That was another toy. And he was generous with that snowmobile. He used to let us kids just wantonly take it and drive it around. One time I was driving it, and the skis to the snowmobile were hanging over the edge of the riverbank. And we were just petrified. I thought I was going to get in trouble big time. So we ran up to Dad, and he said, "You got to be careful. I told you not to go over there. You're just supposed to go around the house." Well, I didn't follow the rules. So luckily, Dad was able to take those skis and put them securely on the ground. So after that, we didn't go near the water when there was snow. The garage I was telling you about, my dad made an addition to that too. And it was he called it the guest house because it had a bed in it, it had a kitchen in it, it had a bathroom, shower. It was just set up for anybody who wanted to live there, but I had my friends come and we would stay in there, and we would have good times. In 1984, I graduated from high school, and Dad was there, and he bought Kentucky Fried Chicken, and we all ate around the table, and my mom had a bad attitude, because she did when it came to my dad. So anyway, my dad was permanently living up in the cabin at that time, and he was having health problems, and he didn't know how to address them. He wouldn't go to doctors. So he would borrow my mom's nursing book, and he was discussing this with my mom, and my mom said, "George, you need to get it checked out." And when they checked it out, he had prostate cancer. And at that time, it had spread to his lymph system. So they did some chemotherapy and some surgery, and he was able to live cancer-free for another 11 years. And this was wonderful. He was a heavy drinker, and I stopped drinking, and he was much nicer. He made his own darkroom so that he could go into business, and he did do a couple of senior portraits and things like that. So, and he had a really great set of cameras. It was fascinating watching him work in there, and so that's why I got the bug. And he said, "Never go anywhere without your camera." So my phone is my camera. So that's a secret. Dad, after 11 years, Dad had started to really decline. He was taking a lot of pain medication, and then he kept saying, "It's okay. It's going to be okay." So the last 3 years of Dad's life, we got very close. I think that he had had an epiphany about life and death. And since he was nearing death, and by the way, he would have been 60 June 6th. He was 59, and that's very close to the age I am right now. Very young. So I was pregnant, and I stayed with him for a long time. And he doted on me, and he called everybody, and he said, "Karen's having a baby, and we're gonna have a shower." So he invited all his friends, some of them I didn't even know, and I got gifts galore, and Dad was really happy that day. There came a point in time where, when I was visiting, I had to go back to Lansing because I was pregnant at the time, obviously, and I had to go have my baby. So I lived in Lansing, and I had a date to go to get induced. She was a very big baby. My dad, he was failing fast, so he went in the hospital, and I called him, and he said, "Why don't you let that 50-pound baby that's sitting in the dark out?" He still had a sense of humor. He was in the bed. He was at Munson Medical, and he was in bed pretty bad. But when he found out 4 days later I gave birth to Gabby, he rallied, went down to the cafeteria and told everybody. Dad would come to us when he needed test imaging and things like that. MRI had just come out, as a matter of fact. It was late 80s. So he got MRIs and other various procedures done. And he was fun to be with. My sister would argue with him, and she would argue with me. And one time my dad said, "Katie, sometimes you have to be wrong in order to be right." When Dad eventually passed away, I got possession of the cabin and my new baby. Like I said, it was right on the bank of the river. It was just gorgeous. And Gabby and I took advantage of that. I feel so fortunate that we had that first year there before we sold it. Before Dad died, my mom came up to visit. My mom, my sister, me, and Dad were there. And Mom was being short and curt. And Dad said, "Sandy, that's all in the past. It doesn't matter. Just now is important." And that's what I learned from him, because he was dying. And he knew well what was going to happen. And what was important is imparting his wisdom, his newfound wisdom, about life and death and relationships. And I thought if anybody could change, or if my dad could change, anybody could change. He wasn't a nice person growing up. We were estranged. I actually didn't talk to him for 2 years. But those last 3 years were very healing. And it's almost like I got it. The lessons that I learned from Dad were important lessons. It's important to not argue when there is no need to argue. I really am grateful for those 3 years, because I think that those 3 years had made up for a lifetime of him not being there. So, George, happy Father's Day.
Hi everyone, I'm so happy to be back to share yet another new song with you. Spirit has been abundantly blessing me lately with inspiration to write new songs, and I'm so happy to share each and every one with you. Today's song is called I've Turned the Page. I'm letting go, going with the flow. I'm looking forward on this road I know. For me, I'll grow. Let go of pain, my mind's rearranged. I've turned the page and I've entered a new stage. You see, I've changed. I've chased all my fears away, faced all my pain, slayed the dragons and the dark of night, stand and face a brand new day, trying to make my way, starting each new day with a guiding ray, connecting to the vast array of all I see. With thanks I pray. I've chased all my fears away, and I faced all my pain, slayed the dragons and the dark of night, stand and face a brand new day. So many lessons learned, yet so much in return. Although I did get burned, it's from the ashes I discern the true me. I've turned the page, I've turned the page, I've turned the page. No looking back, I've turned the page.
Let's take this special moment to thank everyone who participated in our service this afternoon. Thank you, Matt and Nate Blyton. You are just light and love. And thank you, Julie Ross, for your inspired songs. And we are just so grateful to have you with us and have this beautiful energy flowing through you. And thank you, Karen. Thank you for your sharing, and thank you for your sharing from your heart. So helpful and healing for yourself and for all of us who are listening. We appreciate you stepping out and doing this talk for us this afternoon. And I have an affirmation for us as we move into our week. I choose to see, hear, and speak from love. That is a reminder that we can use every day, probably many times a day. So we'll put that in the comments this afternoon and also send that out with the e-announcements on Tuesday. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. It's been such a lovely time of remembering and sharing this Father experience. And now it's time for us all to join together in our big virtual peace circle. It just keeps growing and growing. So let's stand up and reach out our hands and feel our neighbor's hands in ours as we sing this song of peace for the world. And we'll end with our closing blessing. The words will be on the screen. Happy Father's Day, and I really look forward to seeing you next Sunday.